going to do that?
Well, people are frustrated, Chris, because on 2016 and 2021 elections, a majority of members have been elected to the Scottish Parliament who support the holding of an independence referendum. And there are various polls around, some of which show majority support for independence in Scotland. And, you don't need reminding about this, but just so it's not a surprise to anybody, I've believed in independence all my adult life. So I don't think it should be a surprise that I want to deliver it. And the idea of punting it into the long grass is just laughable for me. It is an urgent necessity. If you think my mission to eradicate child poverty is the focus of my devolved government, I want to achieve that. But my task is going to be made more difficult because a Labour government in London is about to take a set of decisions on welfare reform that on their own estimates will force more children into poverty. So there's an argument for independence that we're going to have directly on an issue which I suspect everyone in this room would think would be a great thing for Scotland to eradicate child poverty. It'd be great for the long-term future of the country, but it's going to be made more difficult because of the actions of a UK government. So independence for me can't come quick enough. But I've got to be realistic about how that can come about. And an independent Scotland will only come about if it carries domestic and international legitimacy, i.e. the rules of how it becomes independent are accepted by all parties. That was the case in 2014. I accepted my defeat in the referendum in 2014. Why? Because there was an agreed process. And I'm simply saying that if we want to advance on this issue, there has got to be a means of breaking the logjam that we're currently in. 2 successive elections, a majority of members of the Scottish Parliament supported holding a referendum on independence, and the Westminster government just folded its arms and said no. Now, I could paper the walls of this room with quotes from the UK government saying this is a partnership of equals, Scotland must have the right to decide her own future, from a whole variety of people, from the outcome of the UK government consultation papers before the 2014 referendum, the outcome of the Smith Commission, negotiated just up the road there. Nothing in this agreement stops Scotland becoming independent if it chooses to do so. But Westminster is saying we're not having that choice. So I'm simply saying to people, in 2011, when the SNP won a majority of seats in the Scottish Parliament, that led to a referendum in 2014. And that precedent, that's the word I hinge this on, precedent, is one that if we want independence to happen, we've got to rely on that precedent. Now, you said that that is a bold ambition. I think we've got to look at where thinking is about independence of Scotland. So there's some polls that Mark Diffley will preside over. I think if it's Mark Diffley's preside over it, there's majority support for independence. And I'm simply saying to people, look, if the issues that you're concerned about in your day-to-day life, like energy costs, or about the existence of child poverty, or about the challenges we face about business activity in Europe because we're outside the European Union, if you want to fix those, independence is the way to do that. But you've got to give me the ability to do that. And so I appeal to those 54% of people in Scotland who believe in independence. Make this a priority at the 2026 election, and then we can turn this into reality. Because I hear what you say about your view today of the outcome of the election. But if you go look back at the run-up to the 2011 election, in January 2010, and I remember it very vividly, we were miles behind in the opinion polls, and we went on to win an overall majority 4 months later. Today, 9 months out from the election, I'm ahead in the opinion polls. When I took over as SNP leader, we were behind in the opinion polls, and nobody gave us a chance of survival. And I've got the SNP back into the lead, commandingly, in the opinion polls. And on the opinion polls today, I defer to the pollster here, and still would be the largest party by a country mile in the Scottish Parliament. Now, that's not good enough for me. I'm not in any way suggesting, A, that that's banked, or B, that it's good enough. It's neither. I've set out what we've got to do to create a pathway to win Scottish independence, and I'm going to give absolutely every fibre of my being between now and the 7th of May next year to make sure it happens.